How's everybody doing? Well, we're having a massive heat wave in New York City, and I'm still dealing with shit. Still dealing with shit. But I got most of my situations under control. I hired a techie to take care of my technical problems, both with my phone my computer system. My iPhone is been repaired, and been put the proper SIM card that my brother gave me. Which, by the way, he is about to welcome a new extension into the family. His wife is about to give birth, so there's another Leo coming into the Lindstedt family. So I want to give him a shout out to my brother and to his wife Tiffany Lindstedt to the welcome new addition to the family, which is due on the 11th of August, and they are short after. Now, other news, what can I say? I hope that these disruptions have not caused too much inconveniences for you. I hate it when they happen to me, but it is what it is. This full moon, along with the full moon eclipse in both Aquarius and Leo, has caused, along with the retrograde of Mercury and the retrograde of Mars, and we're just getting out of the retrograde of Mars, and we're about to enter into Venus retrograde. And even though we don't live our lives according to the dictates of the planets, because the planets impel, they don't compel. That used to be an old saying in the 80s of astrologers. The planets don't force you to do things or force circumstances on you. If anything, they impel. It's a vibration. So just so we don't become fanatics. Yes, everything in the universe has a structure and it has an order. Absolutely. But do we live it on a day-to-day basis, moment to moment, hour by hour? No. It's not the wisest way to use the knowledge of astrology. So I took time to do this intercession because the obstacles and the oppositions have been terrible, and everybody's feeling. It's not just me. I'm feeling it in this area because that's where my Saturn is. So we all go out. By the way, so I wanted to say that. Another thing I want to also give a few of announcements again. I love you guys for donating. Remember, when you donate money, you donate it because of content. For me to stay on the air and continue doing what I'm doing, I need your donations from the GoFundMe page. And you've been doing that steadily and consistently. I could not be more happy. My goal is 10,000, and even though I didn't change the campaign from 1,500, because I'm going to lose all of my contacts from my donors who have been giving from before, and it doesn't become published. I think it's really stupid of YouTube, which is a portion of Facebook. So until they figure it out, I'm not erasing my campaign because I don't want to lose the credit of all the donors who have given, and they deserve to get credit for giving, and I don't want to erase that archive. So even though you don't see 10,000, you still see 1,500. Please understand that that's the reason why I'm doing it. I don't want to erase your portion out of the system, which will occur should I create another campaign. I also want to thank many of you for your consultations, for asking me and trusting me to do scheduled readings. I've done a couple of readings a week for many of you. And for those of you who did not know that I do readings, I've been forced by my management to repeat that and say it in every video. I don't like doing that because I don't want to make this about money. I really like doing the contest, but I gotta pay staff, so they want me to say it. So again, you call me if you want to book a consultation, or you can email me fernando.prudhomme@yahoo.com or 347-485-6258. Even though the venue, now moving on to another set of news, the theater, and again, the production was fantastic. I hope you saw the pictures on Facebook. I'm trying to upload them on my GoFundMe page, and I've had tremendous difficulty. Not even the Facebook people understand what's going on. This is my affliction of Saturn and my third house, which is deposited there. So, I gotta run with it, and this is really bad because if you don't publish these things, you lose credibility, and that's why this is so important to me. Because I lose credibility if I don't document that I'm doing this because I'm using public monies for it, and that's why it's a big deal for me to have this stuff done properly. I'm Virgo that way. I'm very Virgo that way, so it does upset me. The other thing I want to mention, what else did I have to mention? I think that's it for now. Again, thank you for the donations. Thank you for selecting our services for your consultation. I know I haven't written anything in my medium.com anthropological series. I'm going to start doing that again in September. Many of you requested if I write in books and if I'm selling my own books. I do have 3 book deals, and that's in the mix. That these books will not be available until next year. But yes, I do have a book deal, 3 book deals to write books on astrology. So that's definitely, and that's quite an undertaking. For me to do that, I'm going to have to quit a lot of stuff and sacrifice a lot of things, including school. If I, put up postponement, I'm certainly not going to stop doing the videos. So, without any further ado, I'm going to continue with this intercession with discussing the afflictions of Saturn, as we have to discuss now the air signs and the water houses. The water signs. Before we do though, I'm going to continue discussing the birth chart wheel. We left on number 7, so we're going to go from 8 to 12, and then if we have time, jump into the afflictions of Saturn in the air and the water houses. Now, the first thing I want to, of course, I got right here, this drink is, for those of you who always like to know what I'm drinking, this is it's a cognac, and I have a little bit of, I don't drink scotch all the time. Very rarely do I do it. It puts me to sleep really quick. I gotta go to the gym or do something to keep it going, just so I don't fall asleep. Because cognac is so sugary that'll give me diabetes or a fucking renal failure faster than vodka. The more brown or dark the liquor, the more sugar it has. Okay, and cognac definitely is practically all sugar. So this is cognac with ice and a little bit of cream soda. You put a little bit of cream soda, which is also very high in calories and very sweet. You gotta put a very little bit, and it kills the of the cognac. Okay, let's go and discuss the 8th house. No, the 8th house is the natural house of Scorpio. Okay, and being the natural house of Scorpio, it means that this house is a house of intensity. It is a house of mystery. It is an occult house. The Illuminati, the what is it? Skulls and Bones. The Illuminati. Secret societies. These things fall in the 8th house. Espionage. International intrigue. Taxes, annuities, financial instruments, the stock market. It rules inheritances, windfalls, or legacies and bequests. It rules other people's money. Now remember, all the 12 houses have their definitions of their own, but they also have relative definitions as opposed to each other. For example, the first house, the 7th house. The 2nd house, the 8th house. The 3rd house, the 9th house. The 4th house, the 10th house. The 5th house, the 11th house. The 6th house, the 12th house. These are polarities. Just like the signs have polarities, the houses also express their own polarity. And we are going to discuss these polarities. Okay, hopefully in this one sitting. So the 8th house is the house of mystery. It is also the house of sex. Now, I mentioned in the last part 2, the love making and sex, the actual, fucking, is not Scorpio, it's Leo. It is a sign of love making. If you want to know how someone fucks, how good a man is in the bedroom, or a woman, you don't look to Scorpio or look to the 8th house of Scorpio. You look to the 5th house, the house of Leo, the house of emotional love making and expression. Pornography falls in the 8th house. Soft porn, where it's more of a storyline and there's romance, is Leo. Understand the difference, okay? You got these men that fuck like rabbits and what is it, bang bang, thank you man. They just put on their pants and walk out. That's not Leo. That's pure Scorpio. But if it comes with flowers, roses, and there's all kinds of satin sheets and candies and nice drinks around, and the hotel looks beautiful, or the house or the room, and it's glamorous and there's candlelight, that's Leo. No, sex is just the fucking, but the love making and what comes before the fucking then afterwards is all Leo. Right? And I don't think many astrologers, when I grew up studying astrology, really made a point of that. And I don't see that in much literature today with modern astrologers, which is why I'm going to have to write several books to kind of like bring and really clarify this. Since I grew up in the 80s and grew up when none of these things were non-existent. Now at 50 years old, I'm a pretty anthology of information versus what was true, what I learned when I was a child, and was not true, and was based on trial and error. Everything you read on textbooks on astrology doesn't mean that it happens in real life. And I thought that way as an idealist when I was young. When I actually became a practicing professional, I saw that there was much more to than just reading about astrology in the textbooks. It's about a life experience. It's about a journey of the human experience in a particular lifetime or one lifetime at a time. It's a holistic practice. You just cannot break things apart into the individual signs and then try to make sense of it. It's a holistic approach to an old condition of humanity, which is why we are the way we are and why we act the way we do and where we are heading as a humanity. And these are basic principles that astrology can answer. But there's also other aspects of astrology that has been misunderstood. And you've had astrologers in the past that have made mistakes, because not all astrologers are initiated into the mysteries, and some are. And so those who are initiated into the mysteries, like myself, will have to now decode and decide what goes published and what should not be published. What is true and stands the test of time through trial and error and practice and experience, and that which is just theory and is not substantiated by empirical evidence. Okay? Astrology is not exempt from those types of evaluations. We have to put it because it's not the astrology that's flawed. It's usually the astrologer that's flawed because we are humans. And as humans, we are always going to be flawed. But astrology and all natural sciences like it have stood the test of times, going back maybe millions of years, protected and guarded by the ancients. So the 8th house rules these types of mysteries. It rules gurus, shamans, high priests, magicians, just like the 12th house. Okay? The 8th house is the aspiration for these things, while the 12th house is the end result of these aspirations. And that's how these houses interrelate with each other. You have because the 12th house is a water house, and so is the 8th house. And so is the 4th house. So the 12th house rules, a collection, a succession of past lives. While the 4th house talks about the immediate one, right before you were born into this incarnation. while the eighth house gives a trajectory of the entire mystery as to who you are as a human being and your place in the grand scheme of things, and also your identity and your connection with God and what that is. Okay, these are powerful mysteries that are contained in the eighth house, the natural house of Scorpio. Okay, it is the house of death. If I look at a horoscope, I'm gonna know how you're gonna die, how and why and when. The when part is tricky. The when part is tricky. We usually, unless it's given to us on a dream, we're not gonna know the specific time of death when. That's only reserved for God. But if you're a medium, you're gonna know when that time is gonna come. So the eighth house is it's a big house. It's a serious house. It's a frightening house. When people want a birth chart from me, they actually pay me extra money so I don't talk about the eighth house or the 12th house. But I'm like, no. If I'm going to be an astrologer and try you, keep your money. Don't give me any extra. I have to tell you. If I have to tell you, I'm going to tell you. Now, if I feel that you're not capable or ready to handle that information or any other kind of information that I may come across in the birth chart, I'm not going to let you know. I'm not going to tell you, because this is dangerous. There's a reason why in the Bible, astrologers are perceived as dangerous and evil. It certainly was true back in the day. Not all of them were evil, but you have to understand that it was an ignorant time. People didn't read and write, and people were still acting from their base animal natures. So astrologers were seen as almost close to God. They could read, they could write, they were educated. The masses, you had to reach the masses because people didn't read and write. We're going beyond the Dark Ages. So even in the Hellenistic period, as educated as that era was, people were still very uneducated. The information that we have today, it wasn't the information that, although it was available at the time, it was not there for the masses to absorb. Reading and writing wasn't even it wasn't a commodity like it is today. So then there's the issue of money with the eighth house, because we're still talking about the eighth house. Okay? If you're going to be a wealthy person like Beyonce, Chaz the rapper, P. Diddy, right? Moguls, or even Donald Trump. All these names that I just mentioned to you, Bethany Frankel from the New York Housewives or the Housewives of New York City, very wealthy people. You don't think that they're going to have a populated eighth house? They all do. Every single one of them. Every single one of these people were born to be wealthy. This was the incarnation that they were to be awarded the wealth. Why? Because they're so talented? Or because they're so beautiful? Or because they have something about them that can allow them to have this facility of wealth? No. It's based on merits that occurred in past lives. And that, Ariana Grande, okay? All of these people, they're wealthy for a reason. It wasn't any, mini, miny, mo, catch a tiger by the toe, my mother told me to pick you. No, God don't play like that. You get to a certain level of your evolution where you can be awarded that experience of wealth. Okay? The same thing with anything else. So the eighth house is a collection, also like the 12th house, a consolidation of experiences, of experiences of an intense nature. The ninth house is the house of philosophy, education, the clergy, publishing, books, broadcasting, television industry, the networks. It rules colleges and universities. While the third house, the opposite of the ninth house rules high school, elementary, and junior high school. The second house rules self-esteem and self-worth of you. The eighth house, the opposite of the second, rules the self-esteem and self-worth of the other person that you're with. The fourth house rules your mother. But the 10th house of your partner rules his mother or them or their father. So the houses have relative opposites. Okay? The ninth house rules the publishing industry. Websites. I publish websites. Website publishers. That falls under the ninth house. Publishing books. Being a book reader, a publisher. All that is the ninth house. Travel is also the ninth house. Getting on an airplane, going to different countries. Foreigners, different races and languages and cultures also fall under the ninth house. The natural sign of Sagittarius. The 10th house is Capricorn, a cardinal house, and it rules the career. It is in this house that I'm going to know what kind of career you're suited for, what kind of profession you're supposed to be in. The 10th house also describes how the world sees you. What is the opinion of the world concerning you and concerning your position in your career. The 10th house rules the father specifically, while the 4th house, the opposite of the 10th, rules the mother. So the 10th house, whatever sign falls there, is going to let me know what kind of men you attract to you. And they have to resemble your father, because that is the 10th house of the father. So whatever things are seen in the 10th house should be seen in personality and behavior in your father or men or all subsequent men, because it is a model representation of the template that you are going to your DNA gene pool, also disseminate onto your offsprings. So the 10th house is another very powerful and important house. It is the house of the career and the profession, versus the 6th house, which is also an earth house. It's Virgo, which rules blue-collar work. The 11th house rules your friends, your group of friends, your associates, the soul group, or the individual. Either or. You could be a maverick, a renegade, or you could be a group leader or guru. It rules powerful challenges that you have to face. It rules the perfected intellect of man, reaching a certain level where you can see the grand scheme of things and put things together. But basically, the 11th house rules your friends and what kind of friends they are. And are they going to be a hindrance to you or a benefit to you? And do they come to you from other lifetimes? The 12th house is the most important, the most frightening house of all. It is the house of dissolution, where we leave our carbon-based matter behind and we return back to God. And that's certainly true of the principle of Pisces. But when it comes to the 12th house, we are talking at another level. It is called a house of sorrows. And it is a very, very, very sad house to describe on the one end. And then on the other end, it can also be the house of power, where you know your own personal power and your own personal greatness and your own connection to God. No, there's more to Pisces, but I'm not going to discuss it because it's impossible to discuss it all in literally a minute and 22 seconds that I have left. And I won't be doing a fourth part. Now going back to Capricorn. Capricorn in the air signs works the best. The best. Saturn is exalted in Libra, and it is in its fall in the opposite sign, which is Aries, the fire sign. Saturn functions excellently well. It is exalted in Libra, so therefore it is exalted in the 7th house, an air house. Saturn in Gemini can also make you quite methodical, quite responsible, a genius. Many medical doctors that are born Geminis have Saturn in there. Surgeons, neurosurgeons, radiologists, even excellent politicians. Saturn in Aquarius is also quite visionary, but also very singular and can be quite narrow-minded and can lead to a certain degree of bigotry and arrogance. In the water signs, In Cancer, it functions at its worst. You think Aries was bad? It's bad in Cancer. It's in its detriment, along with Taurus. And then in Pisces, it functions the best. And in what's the other sign? Scorpio, it provides precision and concentration. And we're done.